going to be talking about arrays. So the first half of the video, we're going to be defining what is an array. We're going to be giving examples of how we can add data to an array, how we can read data from an array, and then the remaining half of the video, we're going to be looking at the top 3 most asked interview questions based on arrays. Yeah, so that's how we're going to do this. And then yeah, so what is an array? So an array is a data type or a data structure in JavaScript. So basically you have your strings, so we can say name equals Sam. Yeah, so this is what we call a string in JavaScript. So let's say we have a situation whereby we want to store a list of names. How do we do this? So we'll say const names, and then like this. So this is able to store this list of names. And then how do we now access these values from this names that we've just created? So if we say console.log, and then we say names, and then we say 0 like this. Okay, so if we run this code, it's going to access Sam. Okay, but then you might be thinking, why didn't we put a 1 in here if we want to access Sam? Because Sam is 1, right? So in arrays, we have what are known as indexes. And an index in an array, we'll say in most programming languages, it starts from 0. So this will be 0, then this will be 1, then this will be 2. Okay, and then, so this will be a length of, we'll say, the elements in the array. We have 3 elements in the array. But then, okay, let's just do this. So yeah, when you go on an array and then you say dot, you get all these methods that you can use on an array, right? So we're not going to go through all of them. We're just going to go through a few. So concat will be to join 2 arrays together. Yeah, these ones you can read them on your own. Yeah, because you're not going to. Then includes, yeah, there are important ones like includes. So includes is like, does this array include Sam? And then it will return true if Sam is in the array, or false if Sam is not in the array. So that's what includes does, right? And then yeah, so we want length to see the length of our array, and then we'll see the length is 3. But then we're starting from 0, right? So it's 0, 1, 2. So the array ends at index 2. Right, so that will be a bit confusing, but just understand that an array always starts from 0, right? Even though the length, we have 3 items in this array, it's going to start from 0, then 1, then 2. Okay, so that's how we view an array. So if we want to view Tim, we'll just say, so this will be 0, then this will be 1, then this will be 2, and then we save. Okay, then we get Tim in the console log. Okay, so but then this is not really a nice way of doing it. Let's say, how can we automate it such that we can view everything in the array? So imagine we have an array with 100 items, right? We would have to say console log from 0, right? And then we have to say console log 1, and then we'd have to say up to 100, right? Of which, yeah, that won't be a practical way of doing it, and then you still get all the values, but this is not a practical way of doing things. So in JavaScript we have loops, so we can make use of a for loop or a for each loop. So a for each loop is something that comes with arrays. It allows you to loop through an array, but then yeah, I always like to use a for loop so that we can get the basics of things, right? So what the loop will just be doing, it will be looping up to the length of this, okay, minus 1. Minus 1, why? Because the array starts from 0. So if we say the length, remember when we said length, it gave us 3. So if we loop to 3 doesn't exist in this array. It's 0, 1, 2, right? So we say minus 1 so that we get 2, right? Okay, so to loop through this, okay, it's not that difficult. We just need a for loop, so it's for, and then let I equals 0, then I less than names dot length. Okay, then we increment, right? So this is just basic syntax of an array, and then yeah, we console log, right? So now it's doing what we were doing before. Remember, we're putting a 0, we're putting a 1, so it's doing that right now, but then it's just looping through it. It's doing it automatically, whereas we were doing it manually. Then you see we loop through our array, right? So that's how we can access data or information in our array. Okay, and then so let's just comment this out. Okay, we save that. Okay, so in an array, let's say, how can we add things to an array? Let's say we've declared an array like this, right? Sam, Tom, Tim, and then we decide, okay, we want to add Douglas at the end of this array. How do we do that? So an array comes with methods that it has. So if we say names, let's see if we can get that. Okay, so you see, yeah, we have a method called pop. Okay, let's just, okay, so we have a method called pop. So what pop does, it removes the value from the end, and then what push does, it pushes a value at the end. Okay, so push, then we'll say Douglas like this, and then let's bring back our loop and then put it at the bottom. Okay, then you see Douglas has been added at the end. Okay, so that's how you add something to the array, and then to remove something to the array, it would be like this. So let's say we never added Douglas and want to remove Tim, so it's going to be something, yeah. So since we're just removing, you don't need to specify anything. Okay, you're just getting rid of something, right? Okay, so yeah, pop like this. Yeah, so since we're getting rid of something, then it's just Sam, Tom. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what other methods do we have? So we have so many methods out there, right? You just need to go over them, read them up, understand how to use them. But then we have the main one. We have shift and unshift. So shift, it does the opposite of what push is doing, right? So shift, it removes something from the beginning, right? So remember, pop is removing from the end, shift does it from the beginning, and then unshift puts something at the beginning, right? But then these are very bad, in terms of when we talk of how much resources. So we have something that we call time complexity and space complexity, right? So we'll say these are very bad, right? Because in the sense that when you're shifting or you're unshifting, let's say we shift something here, we put Douglas at index 0, it means everything in the array is going to go to the right. So Sam is going to go to position 1, Tom is going to go to position 2, Tim is going to go to position 3. So now imagine you have an array of 1,000 elements or something like that. It means 1,000 items are going to shift just because you want to put one thing. So yeah, that's why you find shift and unshift, they're not very common. You're mainly just going to be using push and pop. Yeah. Okay, then we have slice, we have, yeah, so we have a lot. Yeah, some of these you can just read them, they're not that difficult. So yeah, those, yeah, in basic terms, that's your array. And then yeah, we have some methods that come with JavaScript that we can, I wouldn't say these are array methods, but yeah, these are some things that we can just use in an array, and they help us to perform some actions in an array. So let's say we're like, okay, we want to filter out something from the array. So what we can do, we'll say let filtered names is equals to names dot filter. So names dot filter, we can put an arrow function. Okay, then we'll say return. Okay, then we can just say our names dot length is greater than 3. Okay, then we run this. Okay, why is it empty? Because we're saying return a name that is a length greater than 3. In this array there's no name greater than 3, so let's put that. We'll say Douglas. Okay, so now when we run this, here, let's see, greater than 3. Okay, so here in the name it's supposed to, it takes an arrow function, and then yeah, like this. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, why isn't it wrong? Okay, we need to console.log it. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we console.log it, and then yeah, then we get Douglas. Okay, so yeah, we're just filtering. We're saying get rid of everything and then bring us back Douglas. So yeah, this is useful in those situations where you're making a filter component. So we're going to, in future videos, we're going to be showing you when we're doing projects. We'll be showing you like, okay, we have a list, like in e-commerce, we have a list of products. Maybe you want to filter where the price is between these values, where the price is lower than maybe $100, those kind of functionalities. So this is just the basics of how you build those kind of functionalities. Okay, so yeah, I think now you have a basic understanding of arrays, how we can access an array, how we can, yeah, I think that's just the basics of how we deal with arrays. Okay, so we can do some questions. So these are the top 3 questions that I've seen like getting asked, because you know these things, yeah, I think most developers, they kind of throw these things out the window, because what they focus on mostly is just, you know, the basics of React, Next.js. Then, you know, they don't focus on data structures, algorithms. But then when they go into the interview, you know, that's what these things are the ones that get asked. Like in the first interviews, they're not going to ask you about React and stuff like that. They'll mainly, you know, like when you send in your application, then you get a response. They'll just send you a link to some lead code or some test, and then it's going to be these simple tests. Because most companies, like that first call, they're trying to screen people out, right? And then it's like they'll be asking the most easiest questions, but then they'll be very difficult if you've never, you know, really been introduced to these kind of things. They'll ask you, okay, we have an array of names, or we have an array of numbers that's been sorted. Remove the duplicate values. Right? That's the most easiest question someone can ask you. But if you've never encountered this type of problems, you're not going to be able to answer that. And then the interviewer, once you don't answer that, that's like a junior level question. And then maybe you're saying in your CV or resume, you're saying I have 2 years or 3 years of experience. But then if once you cannot answer that simple question, then yeah, everything is out the door. So yeah, let's just jump into a few questions. Yeah, so I have my lead code opened here. Okay, so let's see what's the best one to start with. So yeah, this one I think is a good one. So it's called a valid palindrome. Okay, so what is a palindrome? So a palindrome is a number which, it's not, yeah, it's like we can say it's a string or a word or a number that's the same forward or backwards, right? So it'll be something like this. Okay, let's just say question, let's close this. We'll say question 1 palindrome, like this. Okay, so what is a palindrome? A palindrome will be something like this, 1 to 1, right? 1 to 1, if we reverse it, right, it's going to be 1 to 1. So a number that you can do this, where you can reverse it, that's a palindrome, right? And then we have 3, 4, 5, right? 3, 4, 5, if you reverse it, right, it's going to be 5, 4, 3. That number is not a palindrome. So you need to write a code which can determine this palindrome. Okay, and then how do arrays come into this? Because I know this is an array question, but then this seems like numbers. And then if it's a string, if someone says, okay, let's say Bob, so Bob is a palindrome, because if we reverse Bob, it's going to be the same. But then if we say baby is going to be, it's not going to be a palindrome. This is a string, this is a number, but we're doing arrays. Okay, so where do arrays come into this? So arrays have methods that we want to access, right? So when it comes to an array, so if we say const names, okay, then we have our names here, then we say names dot, okay, so we have a method, it's called split, but then it's not on an array. Okay, so on an array we have a method called reverse. Okay, yeah, it's called reverse. So dot reverse. Okay, so what does this do? This takes any array that you have and it reverses it. Remember, in a palindrome we want to reverse. So if someone comes with 1 2 1 and then they say is 1 2 1 a palindrome, we want to reverse 1 2 1. But then how do we reverse a number? Right? We can't reverse a number, but we can reverse it. We can reverse an array, because an array has this method that it gives us. We don't need to code this reverse. We don't need to know how this reverse works. We don't care. We just know that if we call reverse on an array, it's going to reverse this, right? So to solve palindrome, you first you convert your string into an array, right? And then 2, you reverse the array. Then 3, you convert it back, to number. Okay, so yeah, I think that this confused people. So a palindrome is a number or string. That's why I'm just interchanging the terms. Okay, so we take this number, we convert it to an array, and then we have access to the reverse method. And then once we reverse it, we convert it back to a number, and then we check this number that we got from the beginning, is it equal to the number that we got in the end? If it is, then yeah, the number is a palindrome. Else, it's not a palindrome. Okay, let's jump into the question. Okay, so const, so it will be like this: const is palindrome, like this, and then it will take a number. Yeah, I think number is the, it will say take a num is the most easiest to understand with this. Okay, we leave it at that. Okay, then here we want to call, so we'll say const res equals is palindrome, then we pass in the number, and then down here we'll console log res. Okay, because we want to see what the response we get is. Okay, so this is the number that we're getting. So if we say console.log num, then here we run this. Okay, we're going to get 121 and undefined because we haven't returned anything from the function. Okay, perfect. So everything is going according to plan. So this 121, we need to convert it first. So first we need to store. Okay, so we need to store num, you can call it num2, yeah, for lack of better terms. And then yeah, let's not use constant, because constant you can't change it later, so use var, and then yeah, like this. Okay, okay, then we'll say var num array, and then we'll say, so num array is going to be num dot split, and then we're going to split it. Okay, then let's return, and then let's see, we want to see what it looks like. Okay, let's see nums.split. Okay, so we first have to convert it to, let's see what the issue is. Num.split, num.split. Okay, let's just test that again. Okay, maybe let's put this into another variable. Num dot to string, because I think it only works on a string. Yeah. Okay, and then here we can say num2 dot split, because we're trying to split a number. I don't think that works. Okay, perfect, it's done. Yeah, so yeah, some of these mistakes I'll just put them in, yeah, to show you guys, you know, even when you're coding, you run into some of these issues, but then yeah, we solve them at the end of the day. That's what matters. Okay, so yeah, let's sort this out so that it makes sense, because this, we want this to be our, we want this to store the value at the end so that we can check, right? And then here is going to be num. Yeah, then I will just explain what the code is doing. Okay, and then yeah, let's run it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we can't split a number, and like we have to convert it to a string to be able to split it. Okay, yeah, so it's palindrome. We pass in the number and then we convert the number to a string, then we split it. So splitting, it just means we have made it into an array, but then each number is like its own value in the array. Now we can run the reverse. Okay, now we can say num reversed is equals to num's array dot reverse. Okay, perfect. Then let's return num rev, then see what it looks like. So yeah, we're doing it in stages, right? We're seeing what it looks like. It's been reversed, but you can't tell. Let's say 1 2 3, then it must say 3 2 1, right? 3 2 1. You see here in my console, let me just enlarge it. You see 3 2 1. Yeah, so it's been reversed, so that means that our function is working. Okay, so now that we've reversed it, we now need to convert it back, right? And then how do we do that? We convert it back using something called dot join. So join means I want to make this back into a text. That's all it means. Okay, right, now it's back to 3 2 1. Perfect. And then here it's var num2, and then yeah, so it's now like this. And then I think we don't even need this at the end of the day. Yeah, so it's like this, and then we say if num, right, is equals to num rev, right? Yes, we return true. Okay, so it means that if these two are equal, it means that it's a palindrome. Okay, else we return false. It means that it's not a palindrome. Okay, let's just test it out. Okay, so this is not a palindrome. Then we say 1 2 1. So here it must say it's a palindrome. True. Okay, so that's how we solve for is something a palindrome or not. So you see how in this case how we're using arrays, even though the question did seem like it's a question about arrays, but we're able to use arrays. So that's the importance of first learning the data structure and then doing a problem, because you need to use these data structures to solve these problems. So once you know these data structures, your arrays, once you know your array methods, there's no problem that's going to, you know, give you any trouble. You'll be able to solve most problems on your own. Okay, so yeah, I think let's see which question we can do next. Yeah, because we want to do all three, but then we just want to do them in order of the ones that are, you know, that you can understand the best, so that it's not too difficult for you. Okay, so I think, yeah, remove duplicates from an array. So what are we trying to do here? We have an array, right? And they're telling you, you know, this is so easy because they're telling you that it's sorted, because in some situations the array is not sorted, and then they're like, you know, sort this array using something like quick sort, you know, merge sort, then try to remove the duplicates, you know, or remove the duplicates from a linked list, right? We're going to get to that, but I'm saying there could be a harder way to ask this question. But then when you see this question coming, and this question, it comes a lot, trust me, this question comes a lot. This is the most easiest question, right? Is remove duplicates from an array. So let's const remove duplicates. Okay, perfect. Then const, yeah, this is how I always do it, const raise, and then I call the function with an array, and then here I console.log. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is too big. Let's start with something small so that we get the idea. Okay, so we have an array. You see it's sorted from least to most. So it's 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. So in the end we must have 1, 2, 3, 4, because this is duplicates. That's what they mean by remove duplicates. We're saying given an array, remove anywhere where there are duplicate values. Okay, so how do we do this? This is very, very easy, right? We have an array that stores, right? So we create a new array that stores perfect values. So we loop through these numbers, and then we're saying, remember, an array has what we were calling a dot includes, right? So when you're in need, just say JavaScript array includes, and then come here where it says developer Mozilla. They explain it very, very well. You see here. So all these questions, you'll be able to solve them using arrays. That's why you were saying arrays are so important, right? You have an array, it's 1, 2, 3, and then this dot includes, you say array 1 dot includes 2, then it says true. Why? Because 2 is in the array, right? That's all you have to do, right? But then if I say array 1, this is array 1 dot includes 5, it's going to say false, because includes is trying to say, you're asking it, hey array, is 5 in the array? Then it's going to say no, yes or no, right? And you don't have to code this. This just comes by default from JavaScript, right? So you're not doing anything, right? So that's what we're going to use here, right? We're going to have a unique, an array which is storing const unique array, right? So this is going to be this is what we're going to return after, right? So we're going to loop through this array, and then we'll be checking this array. We'll be putting values in here and checking if the values exist, right? And if they exist, it means it's a duplicate and we don't put, right? So for okay, delete this, then we say if not unique array, perfect, right? And then in the end we return the unique array like this. And then yeah, let me explain the code. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we passed 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, right? So what is this code doing? Right, we have this array that we passed in, this 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, and then we're saying we create this new array, and then we're saying in this new array we're going to be putting values using the dot push that we learned. The dot push is putting things at the end, right? So this array runs, it gets this 1, and then it puts this 1 in the unique array, right? It runs again, it gets this 2, it puts this 2 in the array. But remember, every time it's running, it's asking if this array dot includes array. So what it's saying, it runs, it gets 1, right? Then it's asking, does this unique array have another 1? That's what it's asking. This is what this dot includes is asking. It's asking, does this array have another 1? Then if it doesn't, right, it pushes it in, right? Then it goes to 2. Does this array have a 2? It doesn't. It pushes it in, right? It goes, does this array have a 3? It doesn't, so it pushes it in. Does this array have a 3? Yes, it does, because we just put it in, and then it does nothing. Does this array have a 4? It pushes it in. So this is now 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we just return it at the end. And we've left out this duplicate, So that's the easiest problem that you have, right? But then you find most people, it's not that, you know, you won't be able, like if you can think about this problem, you'll be able to answer it, right? Or with given time. But then most of these problems is just memory. If you've never met a problem, you're going to struggle with it. Because most of the problems, people are just using their memories. Like, because, you know, in those interview settings, you don't get time to be thinking like, okay, I'm going to come up with a solution. Yeah, those are lies, guys. You don't get that time. It's mostly just going to be pattern recognition. Like, have I done a similar problem to this? Have I met a similar problem to this? Have I done this problem before? That's all it is, right? Then you just start, okay, so I did a similar problem, so this is how I can solve it. Yeah, because you're not going to, the interviewer is going to be looking at you, it's going to be asking you, like, the pressure that's there from like 80% of people. They won't be able to just come up with a solution to a problem that they've never seen. So this is how we get there, by solving these common problems, because these are common problems. There's no need to be solving those hard problems or some of the medium problems. There's no need, right? When you don't know these easy problems, you know, that are getting asked in most companies, right? So our last one is the two sum. Yeah, this is one of the most common. Yeah, we should have started with this, but I just wanted you guys to understand these easy ones. This is the most common interview, you know. I think this is like number one, the most common that gets asked, right? So two sum, what they're asking is, given an array, how can we what this two sum problem is saying, given an array of integers and a target number, return the indices of the two numbers such that they add up to the target. So what they are saying is, you are given this array 2, 7, 11, 15, and then what they're saying is the target is 9. So what they're saying, what two numbers in this array add up to 9, and then once you find them, return the output. So that's all they're saying. So in this case, it's 0, 1. What's at 0 and what's at 1? This is 0, this is 1. So 2 plus 7 equals 9. That's all, right? So it's const 2 sum. Okay, then we come here, then we say const nums. Okay, then const target, then we console.log, we call it with the nums, and then we call it with the target. Perfect. Okay, we come in here. So the way that I'm going to solve it, this is the most easiest way to solve it, but this is not the best way, right? So later on we can find the best way to do it, but right now we're just going to find the, you know, the most simplest way that everyone can understand, right? It's going to have an O of n squared. So we'll go through, you know, time complexities, what they mean, but yeah, this is not the best solution that's out there. But you know, in an interview, it's better to give an answer than to say I don't know, right? So this is that answer that you can give. So say let result. Yeah, because if I give you the best answer, it's not going to make sense right now for you. So we're going to have a loop that's going to loop through, right? It's going to loop through. Then we're going to have another loop, right? That's going to loop. So it's going to be two loops, right? And then, okay, so this is not what we want. So it's if equals target, right? Then we push into result, then we return the result. Here we return the result. Here we push into I, then we push into J, and then yeah, I think this is good. Let's check what it looks like. Okay, perfect. 0, 1, and then 0, 1. That's, yeah. Okay, so what is this code doing? Right, this code, the first one is looping through these numbers, right? So what happens when we have two loops? It loops through 2, right? And then the second loop is going to loop through all the other numbers, whilst the first one is at 2. And what it's doing, it's adding. So it's saying 2 plus 7, right? And then we're saying if 2 plus 7 is equals to the target, push the result into this, then return it, because we found the answer. So here it's going to say 2 plus 7 equals 9, then it returns the indexes of I and j, which is going to be 0 and 1. And then, so if it hadn't found it, it was going to say 2 plus 11 is it equals to target? No. 2 plus 15 is it equals to target? No. Then it comes to 7. The outer loop comes to 7. So that's why they say it has time complexity of O n squared, which means that for every time this loop occurs, this one is going to multiply by 2, which is very, very bad. Like when we're not talking about efficiency, right? It's not a good like code when we're talking about efficiencies, but nonetheless, it's an answer that you can give, right? And then later in later videos, we're going to improve this solution on how we can improve it. Like, because the solution that's there that we can use it doesn't really make sense to beginners. I feel like with beginners, don't put too much emphasis on is your code the best, is your code the most effective. Just know how to answer it first, right? Then after that, start thinking like, how can I improve this, right? Because let's say you're in an interview and then they say, can you solve the true sum problem, right? And then there's candidate A. He's like, okay, I don't know how to do this. He's giving excuses, right? And then you solve it, but it's not the best solution, right? You can sit down and then you can start to come up with with a better solution. Try to say, okay, maybe instead of this we can do this, but then the interviewer can see that this person, at least they have an idea, at least they know how to do this, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, other than writing code that you can't then explain, right? This is easy to explain. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, just keep finding these array problems, keep solving them, because I think this is the best way to do lead code, rather than just going on lead code and doing like 1,000 problems or doing like 100 interview questions. That's not the way that you're going to crack these things. But if you go like on the data structure and then you say array, and then you try to solve all the problems that are related to an array, you now start to understand an array. You now start to understand that an array has this method dot length, an array has dot includes, an array has dot push. You start to understand all these methods the more you are doing it, right? Rather than doing a question about array, then you jump to a question about strings, then you jump to a question about hash maps, you jump to a question about linked lists, you jump to another question, then yeah, it takes you a long time to solve these things. But then now you now understand at least 3 problems, and then we just go like that. So from arrays we go to strings, we go to classes, we talk about classes, what are classes, so that you need to understand what are classes so that you can also understand how we can create a linked list, right? Because the linked list is dealing with classes, dealing with methods of a class, right? And then we need to talk about sets, we need to talk about queues, stacks, right? We're going to do all the data structures. And then once we're doing these, so the format will be like this. On every data structure, I teach you about the data structure, and in the second half we do 2 or 3 questions so that you understand how to use it. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, the like, the bell icon, so that you're notified whenever I post a video. Thank you guys.